Hello and welcome to Anatomy with Dr. P. In today's lesson, we're going to be looking at the blood vessels of the upper limb. We're going to start with the subclavian artery. This is an artery that we learned last time. Remember that subclavian, sub means below, clavian refers to the clavicle, so this blood vessel is sitting below our clavicle bone. As this subclavian artery approaches the shoulder region, it becomes an artery known as the axillary artery. Axilla is the Latin word for armpit and shoulder, so the axillary artery is simply the continuation of the subclavian into this region. As our axillary artery passes down into the arm region, we remember that the Latin word for arm is brachium, so the axillary artery becomes the brachial artery. So this is our brachial artery here. As our brachial artery continues down to the elbow, it's going to split into two major branches. This branch, which is running along the thumb side or radial side of the forearm, is called the radial artery. And this is where we can take a pulse location, down at the radial artery near where it enters into the hand at the wrist. The other branch that runs along the pinky side or ulnar side of the forearm is called the ulnar artery. Now let's talk about some veins. Veins on this model that are in the upper limb that are important to know. First we have this vein. This is our median cubital vein. Cubital refers to the bend in the elbow. Median refers to the fact that it runs across the middle of there. This vein is important because it's a very common site for venipuncture. So when we do blood draws, this is the vein we're targeting. Now we can see two more important veins. This one that runs along the outside of the upper limb and crosses over the head of the humerus is known as the cephalic vein. Cephalic means head. And the reason it's called the cephalic vein is it crosses over the head of the humerus. The other way to remember this vein is it's on the outside or lateral aspect of the arm. So if you put your arm in anatomical position with thumb pointing out and you raise it up towards your head, you will notice that the cephalic vein touches your head. Along the body side or medial side of our upper limb, we have this vein here. This is called the basilic vein. The way I remember basilic vein is on the medial side is it's closer to the body in anatomical position. So if you lower your upper limb to touch the body, that's the basilic side. The basilic vein is really important because this is often where we put PICC lines. So if we need to introduce intravenous medication into a patient with a continuous drip, this is one vein that we can target to do that. As we move up, we can see this little stub of a vein here. This is meant to represent the brachial vein. Now, the brachial vein would be following along our brachial artery, but on this model, it's been cut off and removed so we can see the brachial artery below it. Now, as this brachial artery enters up into our axillary region, it becomes the axillary vein. And that axillary vein is going to continue on underneath the clavicle, at which point we call it the subclavian vein.